everyone, welcome to our budget countdown special. In this edition, we look sector-wise for their demands. We start with housing. The budget approaches housing from two ends, as we know for the last so many decades. One, it provides tax exemption for interest and principal payments towards a home loan. It's a small amount, but it is there. Second, it provides housing for economically weaker sections through the PM Awas Yojana, the PMAY, both urban and rural. Since its inception in 2015, the government has sanctioned over 4.2 crore houses. And in June 2024, last year, 6 months back, this scheme was extended for a further 5 years, 24 to 29, with a target of 2 crore more houses. The total expense for the central government over these 4 years is approximately 4 lakh crore, which works out to around 45,000 crore per year for this subsidized housing. What more can the government do? What's the ask of the industry? I have with me two stalwarts, Shankar Tripathi, the Executive Vice Chairman of Aadhar Housing, and Mahesh Misra, the CEO and Managing Director of India Mortgage Guarantee Corporation, with me here in the studio. Gentlemen, Mahesh and Mr. Tripathi, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Well, Mahesh, first up on the tax, the one that perhaps our audience is more familiar with. This 1.5 lakh, which we get on interest, and 2 lakh on principal, was, fixed long back.
Right.
Do you think there is a reason to ask for more?
Yeah, so there are two parts to this. One, I think there is a consistent focus on growing housing because of the obvious upsides that housing provides. But can there be more? Yes, because there are certain stark data points staring us in the face. If you look at 2 years back, 52% of all home buyers were first-time home buyers. That number is now down to 48%. Okay. If you look at sub 15 lakhs, 61% used to be first-time home buyers. That's now down to about 57, 58%. So the first-time home buyer population is going down. The average borrower age is also remaining flat. So
youngsters are not buying?
Youngsters are not buying, or not buying as much. And housing, as you know, has moved from being a pre-retirement necessity in one generation to being something we like to do in our 30s. Yeah. But that's remained flat. So one, as you pointed out, that this whole 1.5 and 2 lakhs was way back in 2014. And if you just look at the RBI's housing index, if it was 2014, it was 100, it's now 178. Okay. So there has been a 78% increase in prices without a commensurate tax benefit flowing in. So I think that's something which definitely the government should look at. The second part, which may not be tax exemption, is stamp duty. I think stamp duty ranges from 4 to 7%, but there is certainly room for a universal reduction to say 2% for first-time home buyers, or if borrower and co-borrower are both under a particular age. But I think the combination of tax relief as well as across-the-board stamp duty reduction for first-time home buyers is the need of the hour.
Okay. Well, point taken, but why I am a little less optimistic about any such changes is one, of course, stamp duty, state government. So I don't know, the central budget can only incentivize or, moral suasion, use moral suasion. Secondly, if you look at the new tax regime, they're discouraging exemptions altogether. Yeah, so will they give more?
So yeah, the probability could be low, but if you look at the PMAY...
Need for the hour.
Exactly, and if you also look at the PMAY 2.0, there is still, 50% of our homes are still bought in the top 5 cities. And the PMAY 2.0 caps your unit price at 35 lakhs. Okay. If you look at EWS in the top 5 cities, the average unit price is 26 lakhs. If you look at LIG, it is 47 lakhs. So there is an asymmetry in what PMAY hopes to achieve and what the real estate prices seem to show today.
Fair point. So anyway, you have to inflation adjust. But I think on the issue of PMAY, we have the expert joining us. So let me get to Mr. Tripathi. Mr. Tripathi, have you all presented something to the NHB? What is the ask of the housing finance companies in terms of PMAY urban first? I'll come to rural in a bit.
You see, Latha, the entire country, if you see, there are two schemes available, PMAY urban, PMAY rural. PMAY rural has got a complete different segment where the government of India and state government provide 1.25 lakhs to the very poorer section of society.
Yes.
But the rural area is not the villages where government is providing PMY rural. In fact, if you see if between two districts or between two big cities, there are large number of small towns are developing. Since the census has not happened from 2011, so there are many towns which were having 1,000, 2,000 population. They have gone now 5,000, 6,000 population. PMY urban addresses the location which are approved location where subsidy is given. The large number of these small towns, they are excluded from the identified location for purpose of subsidy.
So 1 minute, Mr. Tripathi, what you're saying is that something like rural has grown a great deal.
I'm trying to say.
And they are not getting subsidy, and they're not getting even the urban subsidy nor the rural subsidy, is your point.
The rural subsidy, they don't get because that is hardly 70,000 rupees. That has make no sense. The cost of construction remain the same for everybody. The whole idea is that even government of India has given direction to state government. They can include as number of urban towns which they feel are going to be a pre-urbanization towns in the future. That is what the government of India has given direction. Some state government has given long list and covered many towns. Many state government has not done. So as you were telling, it is all the state government domain. They should see what are the small towns developing between two districts, headquarters or big cities. They should be covered to reduce the congestion in the bigger cities. That's the whole idea, and that will. And you see today, the large number of people under PMAY are in the housing. They are moving tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 locations because the commutation has improved. In 1 hour hardly traveling time, they reach the city center for the job work. So I think people will not try to live in the cities, but at the outskirts of city are these small satellite towns.
Okay. So the need to include them, I take your point. And you also agree with what Mr. Misra is saying, that the EWS housing level has to be increased, and the LIG, from the current 35 lakhs, I think, we have to make it 45 or 50.
I will take up this point. Government of India in the PMAY 2.0, they have authorized state government to revise definition of EWS depending on the location. Maharashtra has done 6 lakhs for EWS scheme, and Uttarakhand has done 5 lakhs. So in metros, I think, if the state government can revise definition of EWS from 3 lakh to 4 lakh, 5 lakhs, the eligibility of loan will automatically improve. 25 lakh rupees is the coverage in the PMY subsidy. I do agree with Mr. Misra that amount they have included 35 lakh rupees the cost of property and 25 lakh rupees loan, which precisely should go a little up, and that will cover large number of people in the big metro. The other thing. So another point, Latha, I will take up here.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, sir, about this affordable housing in partnership. About 15 lakh homes have been done in that, and I believe you are a lender or you are a developer in that area. Now, under 2.0, do you think you can deliver another, 15, 30 lakh houses? Because the ambition is to do nearly 2 crore homes in 5 years. The previous program was 9 years. Now, the ambition is to do larger number of homes. Do you think the same rules will work?
Yeah, Latha, in affordable housing, supply side from big developer is almost negligible. The supply side has to be augmented from the affordable housing in partnership only, which is actually the major project of the Government of India, PMY 2.0. In affordable housing in partnership in 2016, the Government of India has allowed tax holidays to these developers for 5 years, which is now no more available. So in case of affordable housing in partnership, though government in PMI 2.0 has given a lot of direction to state government to reform and frame a policy of affordable housing, provide minimum 5% mandatory EWS LIG in the bigger projects. Number 2, they have provided zones in the development plan where the affordable housing property will be there. They give land to the affordable housing developer at a cheaper rate. But the state government are thinking the central government has got pool of land. Central government is thinking the state government a pool of land. I think they have to decide among themselves. It's merely making the schemes will not serve unless initiative has to be taken for providing land at the cheaper rate along with the land. Along with the land, another thing is there that affordable housing finance developer AHP, this has to be enhanced in a larger way by participation from state government, central government, developmental bodies, and the private developer. Once supply side increases, things will happen in a very nice.
Okay, yeah, pricing, I don't know. You know, we spoke at the time of the election to the Andhra Chief Minister's team, and they were crying about getting land for their capital, Amaravati. I mean, they're going to rival locations, but even the government is not, state government is not able to buy land cheap. Such is their problem. You wanted to add to anything that can be tweaked in PMAY 2.0?
Now, when we are talking affordable housing, when we are talking affordable housing incentives, whatever has come so far has come to the developer.
Yes.
Now, let's also look at the financiers. The target segment of 15 lakhs and below or 20 lakhs and below, wherever you want to peg it, this is a segment that will largely be addressed by housing finance companies. 70% of our lending is still by banks. Housing finance companies are committed to growing low ticket housing and what is genuinely affordable housing. Now, when we talk affordable housing, we only talk of potentially higher margins because interest rates that they can charge are slightly high. But I think we don't realize that it's a very difficult business to scale up. The headwinds are significant. One, the cost economics don't make sense always. They're not very favorable. Second, collateral quality is not always pristine. Third, underlying risk is high. So it's not very easy to build significant scale as an affordable housing finance company.
This digitization of land has not worked?
It is a slow burn process. I mean, it will definitely work. But it is a slow burn.
I take your point. It is.
Slow burn
Because
process.
the margins are very different. The margins for a bank in home loans are under 3%.
True.
But for housing finance companies, it is like 7 to 8%.
No, we are perhaps underestimating the cost of credit and the unit economics. But I don't see why the government should not provide tax benefits or tax breaks to affordable housing finance companies as long as 75%, I'm making up a number, it can be 75, it can be 80, as long as 75% plus of the origination is in the sub 15 lakh category. Again, I'm making up the ticket size. It can be a decision. But there has to be greater financial incentive to scale up the affordable housing finance business.
Okay. Running out of time, Mr. Tripathi, anything on the affordable rental scheme that I thought that would take off because they were going to use vacant government land. Do you see any proposal there?
Actually, in most of the state government, there are large number of flats they consider lying vacant. That is, the government has said, first of all, utilize those flats for renting. In bigger cities like Bombay, Delhi, there may not be a possibility. But here, the private sector has to be invited and they have to be incentivized to construct the rooms or dormitories for providing affordable housing and rental. It's a good beginning, but it will take its time. And I'm sure that for those who are coming to cities and new people, they can't go to buy a house immediately. They need to be provided the rental housing. This will take off. But again, the question of land comes. But if land is not possible, they has to be given to these private developers to create properties, and they can be incentivized by the tax break or something like that.
Okay.
This is what my view is there. One thing what Mr. Misra was telling, very valid. I will take a minute, Latha, here. One thing is missed out. GST concession of 1% is available up to 45 lakh rupees property only. When the cost of construction has gone up by 25-30%, this has to move for the metro cities from 45 lakh to 60 lakh rupees for the purpose of 1% GST concession. Another thing, what Misra told, Affordable Housing Fund used to be with the NHB. Providing refinance to us at 5% or 4%, depending on the Reserve Bank of India, what they are giving rate to them. In this segment, the pool is slightly depleting. If this pool can be enhanced, the Affordable Housing Finance Company will get funds at a lower rate.
Better refinancing.
And they will be able to provide at a lower rate to the customer. And in this segment, I tell you, RBI has given a sufficient margin to Affordable Housing Finance Company. We can charge 10-year GSEC plus 3.5%. If I'm getting fund at 5%, I can charge 10.5% to ultimate customer.
Okay, I take your point, sir. That's a fund of ideas and suggestions that have come from both you and Mr. Misra. Out of time, but we can tweak the existing schemes to ensure that they work better. But the more important point is, it is a 11.1 lakh crore capex budget that the government has. Of that, barely 40,000 crore is going for housing. If we want housing to have such a big multiplier effect, we have to scale it up manifold. If that has to be the plan, then we require a paradigm shift in the government's thinking. We don't know if that will come in the current budget. But thank you very much for this excellent set of suggestions. We wrap up on Bazaar. Short process coming up.